And we are live. We've got a ton of stuff to cover. Everything from very low solar activity, solar minimum, 10.7 centimeter radio flux, blackout in Manhattan. Man does not jump off of steel stack, and more. We're going to give you 1 minute of lead time here to tell your friends and foes to join the live stream. So please do so. Anyway, again, we're going to leave you 1 minute of lead time here, and we will be right back. All right, so we're looking at the sun at 193 angstroms here. And what we really see is a coronal hole, which is just magnetically connected to the Earth, located underneath my pointer. Located right there. We are expecting a wind stream from that coronal hole tomorrow or possibly Tuesday. Let's look at some more views here. We're doing 48-hour views right now. As the sun flatlines, 10.7 centimeter radio flux back down to 66. You see some filaments around the perimeter of the solar disk here. 0 sunspots. And let's move on to more stuff, as there's a lot of stuff to cover. Now I want to talk about 10.7 centimeter radio flux for a moment. This comes from the upper chromosphere, the very lower portion of the corona, you could say. And this is a proxy for sunspot number. When we don't see sunspots, we measure the 2800 megahertz FM solar emission. So what we're doing here is attempting to monitor solar activity despite no sunspots. And we've got links to this web page here, NOAA NASA page, Space Weather Prediction Center. So read up on the 10.7 centimeter radio flux if you're not familiar with it. Canada's been monitoring this since 1947, and we have links to Natural Resources Canada's site as well in the description below this video. So if you'd like some of Canada's data products regarding the sort of stuff we cover on this channel, there is a resource for you to go explore that. Here's a real-time solar wind, and we see a coronal hole connection just occurred in the past couple of hours. And it's kind of been sputtering on and off here. Very low solar wind density there, 0.66 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed in flux, but at 435 kilometers per second right now. It's been all over the map. At least we see a positive BZ here. That's a good thing. That is the power of that giant solar polar North Pole coronal hole. Here's the locations of stuff in your solar system, Earthlings, and there's where stuff will be in 7 days. Links to that page in the description. Also, here's where stuff is above my head as Saturn chases the moon to set. -the-sky.org for those sky charts. Now we'll look at magnetosphere movies. First, we'll look at density. And this is the last 4 hours of density, courtesy the University of Michigan geospace model, the one that does not contain a bunch of a bunch of erroneous bad data. Anyway, we see that very low solar wind density and the modeled effect of it. We see a puffy magnetosphere, in other words. And I did the wrong thing there. Let's look at also the pressure. There you go. There's the pressure. Super low pressure as a result of that very low solar wind density. Majority of the pressure on the magnetotail side, and that is not because Nibiru or some other imagined nonsensical Planet X, brown dwarf, black hole, other nonsensical thing is there, because it's just the magnetotail, and that's the way magnetohydrodynamics works, folks. Next, we're going to look at the global magnetic perturbations. And we're not going to have any chat on the screen today, so leave a comment anyway. And thanks for leaving one, smAsho staff. And thanks for all your hard work posting the videos, smAsho staff. This track's for you. Anyway, there's the geospace magnetic perturbations. We're looking at changes in the Earth's B field. And if you're wondering what a B field is, it's the field that goes through the magnet. And indeed, it goes through your head. Let's talk about other stuff going through your head. How about smAshomash.org? There's a mission, and the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of unified theory of physics, which is kind of important if you weren't aware, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach. And indeed, I have not called a national radio show lately. I got to get on that. 4, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems. 5, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to sciences such as spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, biology, magnetohydrodynamics, geology, etc. Also to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon to do things like optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. Because there's nothing that can break that can't be fixed, folks. Believe it or not. 7, to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. Anyway, the sky's the limit, folks. So please support our channel, such as our latest Patreon patron. What do we call it? Is it a Patreon patron? Anyway, thanks for supporting the channel, everybody who is. And thanks for viewing those who aren't. Please consider doing so. As the operation grows, wouldn't you like to be in on the ground level? You may not see posts like this if you don't patronize the channel. Now, the patron tier is only $1 a month, as we're trying to increase our viewership. We may add more expensive tiers later, but for now, for $1, you'll get all of the preferred material, including stuff like customized ringtones. And by the way, I just uploaded about 20 of them onto Drive. I just have to put the links on Patreon. So, hey, patrons, get ready for the ringtones. And if you're into CBDs, such as Canada's national healthcare system, visit our Spaced Out campaign, also visible in the links in the description below this video on YouTube. So check out that description box, click on the Spaced Out campaign at Hemp Lucid, and support the channel via purchasing these quality CBD products. Hemp Lucid, if you aren't aware, I'll cover a couple articles here, which are also linked in the description below the video. Turns out healthcare providers in Canada have turned to CBD. Cheers Zero Hedge, this article authored by Max Slavo at shtfplan.com. Now, CBD is super effective in all sorts of things, since practically every sort of disease or injury is exacerbated by inflammation. And as a pro cyclist since 1999, I can certainly tell you that inflammation is necessary in athletics and not optimal in the field of medicine, right? Any condition that you're going to have is going to be made worse by inflammation, which is why I do stuff like put cocoa powder and coconut oil and cayenne pepper in my coffee. Also some lemon juice and also some stevia, which is also good for your gut biome, folks. I don't know if you were aware. So anyway, Milky Way Galaxy team for the win. As science continues to advance, don't be left behind. Speaking of mental health, some guy stood on top of the steel stacks located in Bethlehem, PA for 21 hours, paralyzing the concert location. This guy just stood up here on this I-beam for 21 hours and ranted. He has a history of mental health issues. Finally gotten down yesterday after nearly 24 hours. And yeah, so that was an interesting story. Now, this is a very popular place. If you visited the Lehigh Valley, you may have visited to go to steel stacks, as you could see everybody from Megadeth to 10,000 Maniacs there. So anyway, visit the Lehigh Valley, not just to race bikes or just to ride bikes, but to also go to the steel stacks. Someplace you would have hoped to not have visited yesterday would have been Manhattan, as there was a massive power outage. Half of the island was shut down. People stuck in subways, people stuck in all kinds of electric things like elevators. So lots of stories coming out about this. Watch for it today. There's a map of the outages. Once again, shout out to Zero Hedge. There's Manhattan in total darkness, which I guess they mean total darkness by total darkness, they mean a bunch of lights are still on, but a lot of them are out. This just happened to be exactly 42 years on the anniversary of the 1977 power outage. Sounds like quite a coincidence, folks. What do you think? Please leave a comment. Now, as a bike racer, I ride for theveloshop.net. Now, I'm in the process of fixing a bike right now, and it's a real pain because of a thing called a bottom bracket. So I have to buy a tool. And anyway, if you've got to buy tools, or who knows, and maybe you've got to shop for women's gear, how about a new pair of Shimano road shoes for $100? Pretty sweet. Check it out. They got this salsa shirt. Shout out Doug and Dennis. Salsa heads. Anyway, check it out. Theveloshop.net. We had somebody else on the podium recently. I can't remember who it was. Kim Zubris, I believe. Another current world champion jersey holder in the team sprint, along with Kim Geist. So every little bit counts, folks. So thanks for chipping in. Also, check out the original music featured in these videos on these pages. Also, linked in the description below the video. SoundClick and SoundCloud. So again, 10.7 centimeter radio flux, very low at 66. This is about as low as we've seen it during this solar minimum. Moving on to more data at spaceweathernews.com. X-ray flux totally flatlined. Magnetometer looking pretty smooth here. We're going to see a big perturbation in this in the next 2 days, not only because of the coronal hole wind stream, but also because of the magnetic environment in the corona, which I will explain in a moment via the Gong 2 data. Anyway, here's the KP index, which is at 1. We're not going to look at the signet spiral or anything like that. X-ray electron flux is looking a little more normal here. Looks like it's in more of a normal range, although tomorrow and Tuesday we're expecting to see this dip again due to the coronal hole wind stream. No charging hazards. Ionosphere is extremely discharged on both the day and nighttime side, especially the day side. Only at 7 megahertz maximum density there in the ionosphere. And aurora forecasts are looking weak. We did see a massive rise in relativistic electrons here. As you can see here, that has petered out. We mentioned it yesterday, didn't show the graph, I don't think. There's the graph on the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. Here, look at cosmic rays. As solar activity is so low, here's the apatity neutron monitor. And indeed, we do see an uptick in the past 24 hours. Here's the Barentsburg monitor. That uptick happened a little earlier, but it's only minor, folks. Don't move underground into a stone cave yet. Here's the Athens monitor, and we see some big fluctuations in that, similar to apatity. I'm sorry, similar to Barentsburg. Here's Mexico City, uptick there as well. Only in the past 24 hours, though, folks, not any kind of a historic uptick or anything like that, as we saw higher cosmic ray flux levels in 2008, 2009 at the last solar minimum. Anyway, there's Moscow. Here's Oulu, and we'll also look at DOMC and DOMB Antarctica. There's Oulu, Finland. Nothing to write home about there. There's DOMC Antarctica, and there's DOMB Antarctica. And there ends your cosmic ray update. What's going on with the GOES X-ray imager? Been watching this for days. Featured on a thumbnail about 3 days ago. We typically notice this stuff instantly. Now, I don't always look at the GOES X-ray monitor, but I noticed that the graph was looking funky. So I don't know if there's some kind of an alien highway in between the Earth and the Sun that's emitting X-rays, or what the deal is here. It does not appear to be on the satellite itself. As you can see, it's moving in relation to the satellite there. So it's an odd anomaly, and I'm open to theories on how this one's happening, and hoping that the GOES 15 is not busted. Here's the gong data. And what I'm talking about in the GOES magnetometer is we see big fluctuations right here where the north and south polar fields are battling for control. You see this area right here, right there where my mouse pointer is. That spot right there is fluxing all over the place right now. And now keep in mind, this data is 1 hour, 26 minutes old and can change with 0 warning. But if you see these bulges here, this looks like there could be a sunspot forming in this area. So that's something to keep an eye on. You can look at stereo A if you like. We're gonna pass on that today. Check us out on Instagram if you want to see some more personal stuff. Yesterday's Tour de France stage featured the best breakaway I think I've ever seen in my life, as DeKent Thomas attacked at kilometer 1 of 200 and then won the stage.
Yeah, Thomas DeKent. Woo! 200K in the breakaway, and all of the King of the Mountains points. Holy!
This guy is like the ultra badass of badasses, and I was wondering where he was. Now his teammate has the King of the Mountains jersey, and Thomas DeKent is in second place, King of the Mountains. So I think they're going to pass the jersey back and forth, or they're going to pass the jersey back to last year's winner of the King of the Mountains competition, Thomas DeKent. Shout out Thomas DeKent. Damn, dude. That was the best breakaway I think I ever saw. It featured about 6 categorized climbs and was 200 kilometers in length. DeKent won the stage by, I think it was 6 seconds. So how do you like that? The man is a machine. Jeez. From Belgium, Thomas de Ken. Man, oh man, never saw anything like it. Also follow us on things like Twitter, the social media site that will censor you and possibly even deplatform you. Check us out on Facebook, where we actually got banned and shadow banned and probably currently are being shadow banned as well. Now, Facebook doesn't know how to write software, but if you want to view our stuff there, we actually do interact a little bit on Facebook. Let's go look at some comments. This one from Anthony Cazzoli. Shout out Anthony Cazzoli, one of our producers. He subscribes to Jesse Philipbrandt's Weather Channel because he just wants to thumbs down all of his videos. Now, Jesse Philipbrandt has a legendary thumbs up to thumbs down ratio. Let's show you one that's even crazier. Here's a little extra that we would only do on a Sunday morning. Check this out. You want to see the worst music video that you've ever seen in your entire life? Oh, Rebecca Black. Check out this song, folks. You want to see the most legendary music video of all time? Well, here it is. It's called Friday by Rebecca Black. And why is this so legendary? Well, you like thumbs up to thumbs down ratios. How about 1 million thumbs ups and 3.5 million thumbs downs? Yeah, this is the worst video you've ever seen in your life. And this guy featured toward the end of the video was later brought up on some sort of child molestation charges. No, it's not Michael Strahan. It's some music producer who also produced this video. So let's do a little breakdown here. Let's let Rebecca help us out with our days of the week.
Today was Thursday, today is Friday.
Now, if you're thinking about getting into music and you're 13 years old, like Rebecca was when this horrible video was made, seriously, if you want to see the ultimate train wreck video of all time, Rebecca Black Friday, if you don't know about it, you better ask somebody.
We so excited. We so excited. We gonna have a ball.
She literally just told us the days of the week. She's still trying to learn about Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, but she clearly knows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So shout out Rebecca Black. Let us please leave a comment if you've learned the rest of the days of the week. Check us out on Gab, where we will gab if you gab at us or something. Check out yesterday's thumbnail. Oh, and by the way, here's the thumbnail that features that X-ray flux. We just made it look a little bit extra out of control. I've been doing graphic design for a while, folks. So if you want any graphic design work done, I'll give you a good rate, and just email me at smAsho@gmail.com. I'll hook you up. Anything you could possibly imagine can be made. Check us out on Minds, also minds.com/smAsho, the social media that won't censor you. We post in a bunch of groups here, such as Newsflash and Minds Vietnam and Science. So check it out. It's the future of social media. Speaking of the future of things, de-Google your life. De-Google your life with openstreetmap.org. De-Google your life, folks. Just do it. I mean, of course, you can't entirely de-Google your life. De-Google. That needs to be a new term. What do you think? De-Google. Let's see if anybody's already defined this term. De-Google. That should be a term. The term Google itself is a creative spelling of Google, a number equal to 10 to the 100th power, more colloquially, an unfathomable number, an unfathomably horrific company. How about that? Want to learn how to live without Google? We have links in the description below the video to do that also. So please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You might not see stuff like this. Be on the cutting edge of things, folks. Don't be left behind by big tech zombie corporations who are dying. We're very pleased to announce that Sky Scholar now has 15,000 plus subscribers, approaching the 16,000 number. Please check out Sky Scholar if you haven't. Where Robitaille talks about things like stellar magnitudes. Let's play a clip. Take it away,
Not
Robitaille.
over the entire spectrum. Sirius B, for instance, is a white dwarf, which usually is considered very dim, having a magnitude of only 8.44, as you can see here.
Now, Robitaille is a radiologist at Ohio State. Enough said. Largest earthquake is an odd one. West of Broome, Australia. There's a location of that one. 6.6 magnitude. Shout out Australian viewers if you felt that quake. There's about 5 people that live there, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am not the biggest geography expert, as there's only so much room in that brain, folks. So don't fill it up with crap and de-Google your life. Transcribe that, Google. Hey, Google, comma, transcribe that, period. Let's go back 24 hours. You see a 5.6 in the southern East Pacific rise. I want to zoom in on that, as I've been studying the Southeast Pacific. What a weird place, folks. What a weird place. Clearly some kind of a rift-like plate boundary there that you can see on the image. I've been reading up on places like Easter Island, and boy, is it weird. The history of it is not fully understood, as some of it was lost in oral traditions. Anyway, there's a location of that quake. And we're trying to keep the video as short as possible, but when there's a lot of stuff to cover, there's a lot of stuff to cover. Here's a 5.0 in Algeria. That's a weird place for a quake, although we saw one yesterday in Greece also, which was 2 days ago. We covered it yesterday because we only cover earthquakes once every 24 hours, unless something major happens. Here's a 4.8 at Ecuador. And let's zoom this map in so we don't have 2 Earths. Please leave a comment if you think the Earth is banana-shaped, or if you are convinced that sheep's bladders may be employed to prevent earthquakes. Don't give me credit for that one, folks. That's a Monty Python. Here's a 4.7 at Greece. Another odd place for a quake, typically. 4.3 in India. It's a rarity to see one there either. So it looks like an earthquake uptick to me, folks. How about a 4.4 at the Reykjanes Ridge, south of both Greenland and Iceland? And we have been seeing quakes on that plate boundary quite often, actually. Here's a 4.6 in the Philippines at the surface. 4.9 at the mid-Indian Ridge. That's at a triple plate boundary. Check out the location of that one. It's a 3-way plate boundary. Please leave a comment if you think crustal displacement is happening and if you're aware of what it is. Just kidding, folks. Crustal displacement's always happening. All right, let's go back to that. So lots of quakes, folks. Too many quakes to list here. I'm just going to go through the list. 4.3 Afghanistan at depth. 4.7 Guam. 4.8 Indonesia. 4.5 at the Owen Fracture Zone region, southeast of the Arabian Peninsula. 4.6 at the Philippines, 4.6 at the Fiji Islands, also at depth. Heads up for a larger quake at the surface there. 4.8 at Guatemala. 4.5 at Argentina. That one is also at depth. 4.1 at Russia. 4.7 off the west coast of northern Sumatra. There's a quake that the South Pole is creeping toward. How do you like that? Here's that 6.6 at Broome, Australia. That occurred only a few hours ago. As well as a 4.9 aftershock occurring about 2 hours ago. So shout out Australia. Leave a comment if you felt that quake. That's a big one. Let's move on and do a volcano rundown. We see Karimsky back on the list, 10,000 foot ash plume there as explosive activity continues. 8,000 foot plume at Sanjiang Api in Indonesia, 7,000 foot plume at Dakono. Please do not attempt to pole vault Dakono unless you can do it 8,000 foot pole vault. It's less than 2 miles. Please leave a comment if you can do a 2 mile high pole vault, or if your day job is Dr. Banner. Popocatépetl, producing volcanic ash, although not seen in satellite. Fuego, volcanic ash observed in satellite. And please do not do the Fosbury flop over Ravenador, as explosive activities producing a 15,000 foot ash plume. You hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. And if you're viewing the video from a different galaxy, solar system, plane of existence, spaceship, time frame, universe, multiverse, please leave a comment about that, as I'm a real cosmologist. And I won't ask you to divulge your location via Google location services. Louisiana getting pummeled. Our hearts go out to folks down there, as it is a disaster. And not only that, to add insult to injury, the Mississippi Valley and the Tennessee Valley are going to continue to get hit with rain. And this is going to linger for an extended period of time. Not a good day. Here's the GFS forecast, courtesy Tropical Tidbits. We showed this yesterday on the thumbnail. Here it is again today. So expecting to see 2 feet of rain. 2 feet of rain in southernmost Louisiana. I'm sure massive evacuations have happened, as there's plenty of notice on this, and it's going to be all over the news for days, so we're not going to really cover it. But we're going to show you some of the situation of what's going on exactly right now. And the low is directly over almost exactly over the Louisiana-Texas border here, near Hornbeck. And that's just going to keep pulling this moisture. The moisture is going to be forced to follow this low around. And the way the dry air is situated and stuff, it's bad times. It's going to sit there. Here are the upper level winds, still blowing clockwise, indicating a legit tropical cyclonic system. Again, that's the 45,000 foot altitude winds. You can see clearly blowing clockwise. And there's the surface winds clearly blowing counterclockwise. So this system is not done. It's quite organized, and it's really a series of 2 giant Birkeland currents. Let's move on to the water vapor map here. Pardon my hesitation. All right, so here's the water vapor map, and we're going to center it right on that low. Today's atmospheric physics brought to you by me. So please support the channel, because I will help you predict the weather for your friends, foes, and family. The 3 Fs. Anyway, that low is located right about there. And it ain't going nowhere, folks. It's gonna linger. And this moisture is just going to hang out. Bad times, bad times. Let's look at the cloud layer here as best we can, as it is dark. So we use a thing called the shortwave satellite map. This is a pretty good proxy of what's going on in the cloud layer. Just keep in mind, if you use this instrument when the day-night terminator goes past, you're going to get a bunch of anomalies. Anyway, there's the cloud layer situation going on right now. And again, this low is just going to linger. And also this dry air is probably going to, this dry air here is probably going to just hang out. It's like a holding pattern here. This dry air here is much more massive and cold. And there's a sufficient quantity of it to not be absorbed by this system. So it's going to help to hold that in place. Are you one of the 700,000 Facebook users who've pledged to, quote, storm, end quote, Area 51? Following the Bob Lazar appearance on Joe Rogan, a Facebook page has been created to storm Area 51 and, quote, see them aliens, end quote. If we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens, the Facebook group for the event says. I don't know what the hell that means, but this sounds like a terrible idea. As there are all kinds of theories as to where the ships Mr. Lazar was talking about working on could have come from. One theory that I didn't hear anybody cover is that the craft that he worked on are archaeological items. In other words, who's to say the ships didn't come from Earth, where they were, you know, buried in the ground somewhere? They did some massive excavation. They pulled these things out of the ground. In other words, perhaps they're human inventions from an ancient civilization. Am I the only person positing this theory? Because it seems like as sound of a theory as they're modern human inventions, or that they're from a different planet. I mean, if they're that advanced, how can we have so many of them? Anyway, that's my theory, is that they're archaeological finds that were built by human beings. As it's obvious that the human race is at least 400,000 years old, not the 40,000 years old you may learn about in art history class. If you took that horrific elective in college, art history. Just kidding, folks. Art history is good. Now, here's some stuff I don't like. Facebook's algorithms are subprime. And that is an ass, and that is a hole in the ground. I just thought I'd help you out, folks. Now, unlike companies like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Apple, I'm not going to try to
embezzle
any money from you. Now I'd like to
segue
do a different thing. That's how I'm going to skip transients today and not cover them at all. And talk about Solon.info, a site you should check out if you want to see most of the most current data. And they even show you cycle 25 sunspots. So that sunspot 2744, for instance, you're going to see it right there on the list, as well as the rest of the cycle 25 activities that have been going on. They even have the solar polar fields. And we implore you, Solon.info, please update that information. Well, thanks everybody for tuning into the smAsho stream. Thanks for taking the time to leave a comment. Those who have viewed live. We're going to look at some more images of the sun, and then we are going to bolt like lightning, as I am running late. Now, if you're wondering what I do, what I quote do, end quote, I don't have time to tell you all about the stuff that I do. However, what I'm running late for is one of my other science jobs, which is to protect your food supply via laboratory testing for food safety and for nutritional integrity. We also do a little bit of chemical synthesis, but mainly those first two things. So here's the sun at 171 angstroms. My favorite view. This is the last 48 hours of solar activity. We do see some sputtering going on down here. That old sunspot 2744, right at the end, right there. Some activity kicking up. So that's something to watch throughout the day. Although this thing is rotating out of the Earth-facing region, it's still capable of hurling coronal mass ejections. Because keep in mind, folks, you don't even need a sunspot or an X-ray flare for a coronal mass ejection. The sun can spew a coronal mass ejection with absolutely no warning. Just put it out there since it's true. So we do see this active region rising here, as well as some filamentary behavior. You see these magnetic loops out here and up here. This looks like it could be another sunspot, and I'm not going to really worry about looking at that too much, as there's so much going on. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Please help support the channel by clicking the links in the description and opening up that moldy, dust-filled wallet of yours. Dust the cobwebs off of that thing and contribute $1 per month to Patreon, as there is more exclusive content coming up every day, probably. Practically every day. I'm not going to pledge every day, but practically every day. So anyway, enjoy your Sunday. Stare at the sun. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.